Alright, so today we are going to talk about creating animated GIFs. Whether or not you say it as a GIF or as a GIF, it doesn't really matter. But for today's example, we're going to be making a pretty simple animated GIF. What we're going to be doing is using a file that's already been created for you. It's called rocket.psd, and it's located on the P drive, shared files, bond, and it's inside of the animated GIFs folder. So what is a GIF? A GIF is a graphics interchangeable format file. You don't really need to remember that. Just know that GIF is a type of file format that compresses the image file. It is based on the index color system, so that means there's only 256 colors out there available for this, which helps reduce the file size so that it can be saved and brought up to the internet. That's where you see these commonly being used. GIFs make great files for small icons, and they also can be animated. So what we're going to be doing is using Photoshop to set up our animation. Essentially what we're going to be doing inside of Photoshop is using the Create Frame Animation panel. So what we first need to do is locate the file, which I've already got mine open here on the screen. And from here, if this bar on the bottom of the screen is not open, that's the timeline bar. What you need to do is go to Window, and from Window you go down and click on Timeline. It may pop up, and there's two different types of timeline that you can work in. You can work in either Create Frame Animation, or the other one is the video timeline. You just want to make sure that yours is in the Create Frame Animation. So what is a frame? Essentially what we're going to do here is we've got these layers on the side over here. These layers are going to become the frame of our timeline. So each one of the different steps is considered a frame, and one of these layers is going to be put inside of those frames. So the first thing we need to do is when you create this new timeline, this will be the first frame that pops up. But if you notice on this first frame right now, we have all of the different pieces or layers visible on our layers panel. What we need to do is only turn on the layers we want to see visible. So what we're going to do is come over here and turn off the rocket flames. We're going to turn off 2, 1, and launch. So now we're left with the start of the countdown. This will be the first frame for our short animation. We're going to push the little new frame icon right here. So we'll duplicate it. You notice that the 3 stayed with it. What we want to do now is turn on the 2. So we're starting our countdown. Come back, click on the new frame button. We're going to add the 1. Click a new frame again. We're going to add launch. New frame. Turn on the rocket. New frame. Let's go ahead and turn on the flames. One more new frame, and this is where things get a little more interesting. So what we can do is we're going to come over to our layers panel. We're going to select both the flame and flame copy layers from the layers panel. To select multiple layers, what you want to do is hold shift and click on both of the layers together. This means they're both selected. You can see out on my screen here I've got show transform controls, so you can see that they are both selected. What we want to do is move the rocket to the top of our artboard. So what we're going to do is hold shift, and we're going to drag this straight up. This will be the rocket taking off, and we're going to have it so that the end of the flames start to move out of the top of the document. We now notice between frames 6 and 7 on the timeline that in 6 the rocket's on the bottom, on 7 it's at top. That's great. That's what we want to have happen. So if we go ahead right now and we push space bar, you can see it run through its movie. Right now mine is looping forever, but you could set it up to run just once. Push the button and it jumps very fast to the top. We don't want that to happen. We want to do what's called tweening. Tweening is a term that allows, or it comes from traditional animation, where they create frames that are in between. So we're going to make this span a little smoother and cleaner looking. So what we're going to do is have the last frame selected, frame 7. You can either go down to the drop down options box, or the show options box for the timeline panel, or you can come over here next to the new icon, and you can click Tweens Animation Frames. We're going to click on that. We're going to base this off of the previous frames. We're going to have all layers all layers. We're going to have the positions, opacity, and effects selected. We're going to click OK. What this has done, you notice, has created a gradual increase of the rocket from top to bottom. The more frames you put in here, the smoother the transition, but also you end up with having an issue where sometimes you may create the file, you may get too much file information. So you want to make sure that you're always looking at the document size and trying to manage it and keep it small. The smaller the file, the faster it will load on the internet. So now if I go ahead and push play, the spacebar, you can see the rocket slowly takes off. But everything's moving at the same speed here. If I want these to actually count down in like seconds, what I could do is I can click on it and I can hold shift. I've now selected those 4 first frames, and on the bottom down here is what's called delay. I can set the delay, or how long each frame is going to stay up. So let's play with those. Let's maybe add it to a 0.5. Let's try it again. So now things start to move a little bit better. It could be a little bit longer. Let's go ahead and make these maybe just 1 second altogether, and then we'll push start. And there we go. Our rocket takes off. So from here, I probably want to put this on a loop, because I'm going to load it up to the internet. You want to be able to just have it play forever, probably. So it's looping. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this. And this save, I'm going to save it as a .psd first. I'm going to do that because it saves all my layers and it saves my timeline for me. The last thing I want to do is save for web. I'm going to go File, Save for Web. Just make sure that it says that it's a GIF and that your file size is under 2 meg is a good idea. That's a relatively fast loading file for the internet. And then we're going to go ahead and make sure that it says it's looping forever. Go ahead and click Done. Oops, I didn't save it. I just said Done. File, Save As for Web. Everything looks good. File, Save. It's going to ask you where you want to save it. For this exercise, I'm going to save it to my desktop, but you should be saving it to your iDrive so it can be graded. Go ahead and save that. So from here, if you want to test it and make sure that it works on the internet, what you can do is bring up a browser, make sure that you can see the file. So bring up File Browser. Oh man, got a lot of stuff on the desktop here today. There is a lot open. Alright, made it to my desktop finally. Let's see if we can locate that file. Here's my example. I'm going to drag it and drop it into the address bar, and it starts to work. There we go. There's the rocket taking off. It'll just continually play over and over and over. So from here, what you should be able to do is create yourself a new document, possibly. Start playing with this. Try to incorporate your own graphics into it. And we'll be learning more as the days come on how to do some more advanced stuff with this.